Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 1:06 a.m. and I just left Sarah's house from doing the vision boards. Alex is staying over there a little bit longer with our other friend that's over there. But I am getting really, really tired. And so I was like, I'm gonna go vlog so that I can come home and go to bed. We are having brunch with a couple that we're really good friends with tomorrow. And it's earlier than usual. And then I also have the book club live stream tomorrow. So I'm like, I need to get some sleep tonight. I need to vlog and then go home. I wanted to start my next audiobook. So I finished last night after I got done vlogging. It's currently icing and snowing in Indianapolis, which I don't think was expected. It was like 60 last night when I came to the house to go to bed. It was like 59, 58 degrees, something like that. And then it was cooler today, and now it's 32, and it has been icing and snowing tonight. Not tons, but just a little bit. But I drove around last night, you guys, and I finished If You Tell. I think that's what it's called. If You Tell by Greg Olson. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the book. It's either If You Tell or Tell No One. I think it's Tell No One, maybe. And I finished it last night. It was extremely disturbing. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know really. I think the reason I gave it 4 instead of like more than that was, I mean, it was a true crime book and it was interesting to me. It was extremely disturbing. I don't really know why I didn't give it like higher than that. I really enjoyed listening to it. It was fascinating to listen to. It was hard to listen to. It was really difficult. But I just, I don't know that I would say that it felt amateurish. I don't know that that's the word. I don't know. It felt like I would have kind of liked to have heard some of the afterword about what happened afterwards. Like the end kind of seemed very rushed to me. Like they were just like, he was like ready to finish the book. There was an epilogue and then there was an afterword, and the afterword had like all this information about like abuse and things like that. And I think that I would have preferred to have heard a little bit more about what happened to the girls and things like that. I mean, like, I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but like what happened and the convictions and things like that was literally like 2 sentences each. So, I would have liked to have heard, especially since it was recent, I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about that. Hold on a second. Make sure I get the book right. If You Tell, A True Story of Murder in a Small Town or something, and it's by Greg Olson. And then the next book that I think I'm going to read is called Conviction by Denise Mina, and it was one of Reese Witherspoon's books. And it's a fiction book about a woman that listens to true crime podcasts. Or I'm going to listen to One of Us Is Next, which is the sequel to One of Us Is Lying by Karen McManus, which I read last year. And that book by Karen McManus was like one of my favorite books of last year. It was really, really good. So I'm either going to listen to that or listen to the Conviction book. So I don't know which one yet. I was gonna read the next Harry Potter book, but I'm just really not in the mood for it right now. I was like, maybe I could just listen to the rest of the Harry Potter books this month. But I'm not really in the mood for that right now. That's the problem, is like, I wanna like listen to suspense and thriller books right now. So, which I guess, you know, you could kind of say Harry Potter is kind of that, but I don't know, I'm just really not in the mood. I need to also watch The Goblet of Fire before I go on, because I don't remember tons of what happened. The Goblet of Fire was about the competitions, I think, wasn't it? When like the different schools came there and they all competed. And Harry was the one competing. But other than that, like, I don't remember tons about it. So I want to watch the movie. I think I started the movie and I never finished it. So anyway, yeah. So I finished that book last night. And I went to bed late because I was listening to that book because I wanted to finish it. And then I did something else too. What did I do? Oh, I watched that underground, there's like a drag race on, I talked about this a long time ago, but I haven't talked about it in a while because there hasn't been an episode in a while. Drag Showdown, which is like a drag race on YouTube. It's run by Crystal Baldiva. So the finale she posted, of season 3, she posted like a week ago, and I hadn't watched it yet. So when I got done with all of that and I came home, I watched the finale of Drag Showdown. So yeah, that was last night, and so I was up late, and then I woke up today, and Alex had meetings and stuff today, and but he got done with them early, and then he called to see if I wanted to go to brunch, but I wasn't hungry, so he went to brunch with his friend, who was also there tonight, and then they went to the mall to get, like, I think they went to Target or something to get some stuff for Sarah for her birthday. So I knew he was coming home, so I was like, well, I'm just gonna film my videos now. So I knew what all my videos were gonna be that I was gonna film. So I filmed my videos and I had them done like early by like 2 or 3. No, I think I filmed my Peterisms video like 3:15 or something like that, but then I was done with that and I was uploading and getting all those done, and then I was gonna go get my coffee. So I kind of had the afternoon kind of free and ran errands and just listened to music while I was driving around, talked on the phone, and then a couple people said that like I didn't mention their letters or I didn't mention something. I received today, I think like 3 more letters in a package that I haven't opened yet. Oh no, I did. I don't know who it's from. I don't think there was like a card in it. Maybe there was. It was from Walmart, and it was that like that Buzz lip balm that makes your lips like buzz and stuff. And then there was another package, and then there were several envelopes, and then I have like 2 letters at home that I did not mention. So I think it was Kat that asked me and said you didn't mention my letter. So I'll go find those at home, and then I will mention those in there. But I wanted to sit down and actually read them before I mention them on here. So anyway, that was my day. It was a good day. I've been kind of tired all day though. And then I went to Ulta, and oh my God, you guys. So I was checking out at Ulta, and I said, do you guys by any chance have the lip smackers that are like, she's like, yeah, we have them on sale. They're back here. And so they had these, and they were $9.99. So I got 3 more of these. I think I'm gonna give one to Tanya because she wanted one. So that I'll have 2. And then I got Sarah a Poopery bottle for her house, but then she already had one. And then on the go one that she could keep in her purse. And then I got her a gift card for Ulta for her birthday. And then I went to Kroger and I got like hummus, 2 things of hummus, guacamole, salsa, and chips, and then these like birthday confetti, because she loves confetti cake, birthday cupcakes to take over there tonight. And then Alex, he was home before I did, and he got home, and he was like feeding the dogs and all that kind of stuff, and then he texted me, he's like, I'm gonna take a nap. So when I got home, I finished uploading my Peterisms video, and then I took a nap with him, and I crashed out for like an hour. It was so nice. Our bed is just so cozy. I just love our bed so much. And it was really weird. I was laying there, and like sometimes in my head before I go to sleep, like I know this will sound strange to some people, but to me it's not, I like kind of talk to Pee-Pee in my head while I'm sitting there. And so like I was like almost asleep. I was like I felt like I was kind of like in the dream world, and I felt like the scratch on my arm, and it reminded me of like Pee-Pee would sit there and he would just be like sitting up, like when he wanted to go outside and go potty or something, he would like scratch me in my arm like that. And I like woke up, and I thought it was like I woke up but like didn't open my eyes, and I just thought it was Boo or Tucker. And I like looked, and Boo was like behind my head, completely asleep. Tucker was like a foot down in front of me, completely asleep. And I mean, I felt it. Like, I know I felt it. It was the weirdest thing. And, but in kind of a weird way, it was, I don't know, I probably just imagined it, but it was kind of comforting. So anyway, So I took a nap, and then Alex got up and he took a shower, and then I said, let me know as soon as you're out of the shower so I can take a shower. Then when he got out, I took a shower, and then he headed over there because I thought I was going to actually leave a lot earlier. Oh, but I ended up staying later than, it was just he and I and Sarah and this other friend of theirs, well, friend of ours, before I left, and it's just the three of them now. But when I got there, it was Alex's other friend and this guy that she's been dating, this other couple that I don't know real well, or I don't know them at all, I just met them tonight. But they're like high school friends of Alex's and Sarah's, or the girl is, and there's this guy she's dating, and then this other guy that's like a friend of Sarah's, and then Alex and I, and then Sarah, and then this other girl that we're friends with, her and her husband. And so we all like sat around and ate little like, you know, hors d'oeuvres and stuff, and then we did these vision boards, and we were like going through like all of like the things on like Alex's, like, well, everybody, so the ones that did them last year, like Sarah and Alex and this other girl, they had their vision boards from last year, and so like they're like, we're supposed to burn them like at the end. So they were going through like which ones that they had achieved and stuff, and like Alex's of course has like all of his like every music festival that he wants to attend, like where he wants to travel. It has like, and so he had like checked off the ones, and I'm like looking through it, and I'm like, okay, well, we went here, we went there. I can't remember all of the things that it said on there, but it was like, there was like a career goal on there. There was like, the only one that he had not achieved was like go to the gym, and that thing has been like sitting like on our dining room table for like an entire year. Like he checks it, like when he achieves one, he like checks it off. So I'm like looking at it, and Sarah goes, well, you checked, Sarah talks, did you see her in my review video the other day? So anyway, she was like, well, you checked off the one that says more sex with Peter. And so Alex goes, yeah, but I'm putting it on my 2020 vision board too, because we're gonna be more intimate this year than, he didn't say that. He said we're gonna have more sex this year than we are. I said, Alex, my God, oh my God, we're talking about this. He was like, well, that's what married people do. And our other friend whose husband wasn't there because he was at home with the kids, she was like, I put it on my vision board every year. She goes, but this year I'm gonna put on there too that I don't want to get pregnant again. Because they have like a 1-year-old and then like a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. So she's like, I don't want to get pregnant this year. So we were going around and we were talking about like the different like goals on there, and Alex, like most of Alex's were travel goals, and mine is pretty simple. I don't really, because I want to write them down in that book that I got, and I was going to do it tonight, but I ended up not doing that. I ended up just making this tree, and then I wrote this thing on it. So I actually, to be honest, Sarah made a huge pot of coffee, and so I sat there and I drank coffee, and Sarah had her new house, so cute, and she had a fire burning in the fireplace, and it just was so fun for me. It was so nice. Kind of reminded me of being at my aunt and uncle's house when I was growing up. It was so nice just to sit there while everybody was just sitting around talking. They were all sitting on the floor, you know, like making their vision boards, and I was drinking coffee and just talking to everybody. And, you know, like that, like a couple years ago would have been so hard for me to just be out of my element, even with like people, because it's mixed. It's like people that I know, and then it's mixed with people that I don't know. And so like, that's really uncomfortable for me. In fact, I was saying that to Sarah in the kitchen. She and I were talking, and I was like helping her clean up a little bit, and I was like, you know, like, it's always good for me to get out and do these kinds of things, because I know it sounds corny to people. Unless you really truly suffer from social anxiety, you will not understand what I'm talking about. You just won't. But it's like, each time you do it and you have fun, it makes you realize how much more you have to challenge yourself and get out of your comfort zone and continue to do those things. Because I had a blast tonight, you know, just sitting there next to the fireplace. It was so nice. And, you know, like just sitting there, and I was drinking coffee, and she, like, because she made a nice huge pot of coffee, and just talking to everybody, and it just was fun. It was, you know, and we got there at like, well, Alex got there about 8:15, I got there about 8:30, and then, so he left, and then I was getting ready to leave, and he texted me, and he was like, can you go get a 2-liter of Coke on your way? And somebody wanted one of those Bang drinks, so I got them a Bang drink. This girl's boyfriend. I've never had those energy drinks before, but they have like 15 different kinds of flavors. So I went and I did that, and then I came over, and yeah, it was just really fun. I had a really good time. We talked about all kinds of stuff. I'm glad I did it. Mexico was good. Like, Alex and I are like really, really connected right now. And I think, like, if you've ever been in a long-term relationship or a marriage, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like there's periods where you feel like super connected and periods where you kind of like don't feel as connected as others, you know? And even like, you don't have to spend every minute with each other, but like you feel more deeply connected than you did before. And I think us just being like really emotionally bonded right now and talking a lot about our emotions and our feelings and things like that have been really, really good. It's hard though. We were talking about PP tonight and we both kind of lost it. I think it's harder for him because he is not at the house all day long, you know? And I think I said this last night, but like, so I'm there all day long, right? So while I'm filming videos has been so good for me because it's like, I don't really think a whole lot. Like I don't think like about his absence. And then I'm running errands, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that. So I don't really have like tons of time to sit. It takes something to like trigger me to be sad. So like, for example, today, I had just gotten done filming a video, and I was like uploading one of the videos or rendering it or something, and there was a knock at the door. And so we went to the door, Boo and Tucker and I, and it was this Dapper dog box, subscription box that I had ordered like with BarkBox to do the opening with the dogs in December. And I did one, you know, with PP and Boo and Tucker. And so I ordered another one. Like, I just kept my subscription open, and I didn't really think anything about it. And I got an email, like, I don't know, it was like a week ago. It was when we were gone, saying that it was on its way. And I had like I was like, oh, I should have canceled it, you know? And I'm like, well, why should I have canceled it? You know, like, I can still do it with Boo and Tucker, or even if I don't want to review it on the channel, if that's too hard, I can just, you know, like, give them the things that are in there, because it's a really nice subscription box. So anyway, it came today, and I like put it on the counter, and I just got immediately really sad. I just was like, I was like, how am I going to continue to do things that, like, with all the little hats and stuff that people used to wear, you know, it's like, all the stuff, you know, like, I want to have Boo and Tucker in my videos, but to have them in my videos is also, like, a reminder of, like, PP not being there. And so, it was sitting there, and I was going to actually review these, cologne things that Frank sent me that I've been like meaning to review forever on my channel, and I haven't. I also have this like security system camera and this projector that I have been meaning to review literally for like 3 months, and I haven't reviewed, so I've got to do that next week. But so I was sitting there and I was like, I don't want to do that. I started opening the box, and I was like, I don't want to review this box. Like, I don't want to do it without PP. It just doesn't seem right. And then I was like, Peter, just sit down and do it. Just put one foot in front of the other, like you said, and each time is going to be easier. And so I did. I filmed the video. I filmed the review of the box, and it was totally fine. It went really well, you know, and I got a little choked up. That's okay. You know what I mean? Alex just texted me. What did he say? Let's home. And it's okay. I mean, it's, you know, like, it's okay if I get emotional about stuff. It's okay if I was going to turn around, but I think I'm going to go. I guess I will turn around. I mean, it's okay if I get emotional, you know? It's okay if I have a little bit of a breakdown in a video. Like, it's expected, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that, like, I mean, I know that in my heart, right? But I still struggle with it. So, I don't know. I have my moments. But then Alex comes home, and I think for him, like, it's such a, like, you know, he's not there all day. So when he's gone, it's like, yes, he gets sad about pee-pee, but, like, he wasn't with pee-pee all day long anyway. So it's not until he comes home that it, like, triggers him, you know what I mean? So, and that's, you know, a time that I can be there for him. And so we're just kind of, like, leaning on each other, and, you know, that's what you do. You do the best you can do, you know? What did June Carter Cash say? Just trying to get by. Just trying to get by. I can't believe I still have my coffee from today. Oh, well, I didn't even get it until like 4 o'clock. But I haven't been finishing my coffee lately. Isn't that interesting? I have both cups in my car right now. I have that one, and I need to take this one in and clean it. Well, it's back there somewhere, because I put it back there. Because I put that energy, that Bang energy drink over here to take that guy so it wouldn't... I didn't know what flavor to get in. There's so many flavors, so I got him cotton candy. I've never had one before. Anyway. I'm trying to think of what else, maybe. Somebody said on my, I was reading, like, the comments, and somebody said, I wish that you would do, like, videos on your BookTube channel where you, like, tell the story of the book like you do with Tanya or whatever. I was a little confused by the comment, honestly. Like, I didn't really understand what you were, like, what you meant. Like, I'm more than willing to be open to doing that. But I don't know if people know this, but I do, like, in 2019, I did a review of every book that I read. In 2018, I almost did that. So, like, from 2018 to 2019, almost every book that I read, I did a review of on my channels. I don't know that I'm going to do that in 2020. I may, like, if I feel really moved to discuss the book. But people on BookTube don't love reviews. It's not like they don't love those. I'm not saying that I won't do it. Like, I will do reviews on my channel. But it's going to be because I feel like I need to talk about that book. Like, I'm not going to just do a review because I read a book and I feel like I should do a review because I read the book, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not going to do, like... I'm not going to do videos on that. I kind of set rules for myself on BookTube. You know, I used to feel like, well, for the author, I should always do reviews. Well, I have to be honest with you. If I read a book and I give it like 1 star or 2 star, I mean, unless like I'm really moved to just like drag the book because I think it's a crap book, I don't really know what else there is to say about it. Like, I'm trying to think of a book that I read that I gave like 1 or 2 stars to. Okay, like, for example, Lost Girls that we read for the book club. Like, that was a book that, like, I didn't give it very many stars. I think I gave it, like, 2 stars, right? Like, if I would do a review on that. I think I did do reviews on both of these books someone mentioned. So, but if I did a review on that book, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot that I could critique. Because I had a lot of... It was at the end. I had a lot of issues with kind of like the way that the book was written and how it was split in half and things like that. And I actually thought that the way that the author chose to write the book detracted from how powerful the book could have been. I thought if the book was structured differently, it could have been more impactful. So, like, for me, that would be a video that I would talk about and I would discuss, like, the writing of all that kind of stuff. Carrie Rawlins' book about my father or the BTK killer or whatever, I know I did a review on that book, but I don't really remember what I said. But the reasons why I didn't really love that book was because I don't think enough time has gone by for her to be healing yet, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know. For her to be objective about her telling of her own story. It was very much like pity me. That was a point when I was like, you know, reading true crime is interesting because, I mean, obviously, but like, it's interesting in how you form your own philosophical ideas of how you view the world. And I think that this is one thing that we don't really talk about a lot with true crime. Like, Mel and I, we have talked about this a lot, but in like, maybe in the live stream, we'll talk about it, you know, tomorrow, but like, and maybe I'll do a video talking about it. I don't know. But, you know, it's interesting because when you read a lot of true crime or you listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, but I would almost say it's more like if you read a lot of the books because you're kind of with the case for a longer period of time. I think as a human being, you either, it's like the question I was talking about last night when somebody was like, who's your favorite serial killer? Well, that's a loaded question, right? Because what we're doing is, if we're saying who's our favorite serial killer, what we're saying is, who is the serial killer that we're most interested in, okay? Well, if we're most interested in that person, then they're being notorious, or the reason that they're famous is because of the victims that were left, the nameless, faceless victims that were left in the wake of their crimes, right? So, for me, in reading true crime, I have started to judge a lot of the books based on the treatment of the victims or the discussion of the case. Like, if the victim's going to be mentioned in the case, are they going to be, you know, and that can be from the police point of view or from the killer's point of view. Like, if we're going to discuss the victims, you know, like, how are, like in Carrie Rawlins' book, there was very little discussion whatsoever about how she felt in regards to what her father had done, or like maybe a little bit at the end. I don't really remember because I just was not affected by that book whatsoever. Maybe some at the end, but like most of the book was about like what she, like the realization of who her father really was and what she went through. It was really about that. I would have liked to have seen a little bit about like maybe how she felt as a result of her father being this person that affected all these people's lives and things like that. Even Sue Claybold, you know, who, is that her name? Was Sue Claybold? What's his, I can never think of his name. But anyway, the Columbine shooter's mom, she talks about that. Like being the mother of somebody that, you know, basically negatively changed the world, you know, and what that's like for her. And you can see like interviews when she first started talking about it to today, like she's changed over time, like her awareness is more, but like, I don't know, you know. And then there's this whole discussion, which I think is really, really interesting. And I don't know, like, I don't know specifics about people benefiting or not, but the idea that somebody would benefit off of somebody else's death. I think there's actually a law about that. I don't know if it applies to family members, but I do think that it applies to the killers. Like, I don't think like they're allowed, like Charles Manson couldn't have written his own book and profited off of it. I think there's some law about that. I could be wrong, but I feel like somebody has told me that. So I don't know, you know, it makes you start looking at things in a more, I think, like philosophical point of view of like, are we morally bankrupt because we're interested in a certain serial killer or we find it fascinating? But I also think that we live in a world where stories come to us in either, you know, books, books, you know, TV shows, movies, Instagram, Facebook, everything that we are told, every story is so digitalized to us or on paper that our world experiences are really secondhand. Well, it's easy to become immune to that and almost not feel like it's real. You know, it's like, it's one thing like if it, like, you know, when we read the Beth Macy book, Dope Sick, it was interesting because I got so many people that were like, commented on my videos and would say, like, I knew so-and-so that was in the book, or I knew this person, or, you know, this person was one of the people that she talked about in the book. And it was interesting because it really brought that whole story home, you know, because it humanized an entire community, an entire neighborhood. You know, you could see that this was actual town, this was an actual city, you know, and that this was a place that she was talking about, and it wasn't just, you know, some fictionalized city or something. I mean, it was like a real place and real people. And when I would read those messages from people, and people sent me very personal emails about people that they knew that lived in that area that had died or overdosed or whatever, and, you know, and it was like, that made that whole story for me even more real than just reading it in a book. Because I think sometimes when I have read some of these books, I feel so far removed from the actual story, you know, because it's like, oh, it happened 30 years ago, or it doesn't feel real. Like reading a John Wayne Gacy thing, it was like, it felt like it was so long ago. And so I think that I could become kind of interested in that and not think so much about, like, I could be distanced emotionally from the victim because it happened, you know, 40 plus years ago, you know what I mean? Like, so I did feel distanced from what had happened. I don't know. I think it's one genre of writing that's extremely interesting because, you know, we live in this world right now that is completely fascinated with true crime and really fascinated by these cases. And, you know, people will tell you, like, if you talk to them, like, I feel like I meet people all the time that will say, like, oh, this girl tonight that I met, that I know, she's like, oh my God. She was like, now you this, you read and whatever. And I said, yeah. And I said, I started a book club a couple years ago. Oh, what are you guys reading there? True crime. Oh my God, I need to know. What's the name of your book club? She was so excited about it, you know? I meet people all the time that talk about, I mean, all the true crime podcasts they listen to, which is their favorite true crime podcast. And then after they say that, the next thing they say is, I'm really interested in ... And they'll say, like, who are some of your favorite killers to talk or to listen to? Well, like, I know what they mean by that, you know? And so I don't know, I just don't ever want the victims to be lost in that story, you know? What do you think it is? Why do you think we're fascinated with that today? I mean, why do you think that in, you know, 2019, 2020, there are so many people that are incredibly fascinated with true crime? And, I mean, serial killers, I think, have been a topic of discussion for a really long time. But why now? Like, why do, you know, we think that people are super interested in it now more than ever? You know, it's interesting. It's like the show You on Netflix. Like, everybody's talking about it. Well, he's a sadistic killer, you know? It's like shows like that do really, really well. I don't know. I don't really know why I'm super interested in it. But, you know, like, I've always been interested in... I mean, one of the reasons why I'm really happy that Mel and I have made the True Crime Book Club, True Crime, not just like a serial killer book club, which is always, like, those books do the best when we read them. And I have to be honest, like, I'm really interested in reading about those cases too, because they almost kind of seem like to hunt a killer kind of, it's very much like that, like where you're hunting somebody, you know, like when you're reading about it, like the police are trying to chase them down and things like that. But one of the reasons why I'm really happy that we made the whole thing is like a true crime book club is because within that, I think, umbrella of true crime, there's so much more that goes on with that. Now, things that I'm not super interested in, like Mel loves to read about the mafia. I'm not super interested in reading about the mafia, but I'm glad that we had, because when I read The Confession Killer, not The Confession Killer, that's the thing I'm reading or watching. That's not even the name of it. I keep on getting it wrong. Killer Confessions, I don't know what it is. About, what's his name? Henry Lee Lewis or whatever. But, when I read, oh shoot, I can't think of his name now. Richard Kuklinski, who was the contract killer for the mob. Why can't I think of the name of that book? Anyway, like, I learned a lot of things that I didn't know, you know? The Columbine book was a really powerful book, and I want to read Parkland this year. by David Cullen, who wrote Columbine. I don't know that we're going to get to it this year. We'll have to see. Mel and I need to kind of like talk about all the books that we can possibly read. We also need to come up with a new name for the book club, so. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting conversation. You know, I'm sure you guys are all really completely bored by it, but if you like true crime, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like sometimes you'll be listening to a book and you'll be like so into it and so fascinated by it, and then it's like they're talking about one of the victims, and it's like even if they like treat the victim in a really kind and gracious way in the book, who I have to say, the kindest treatment I have ever seen of any victim is when Paul Holes did his Evil Has a Name, the Audible exclusive about the Golden State Killer. The way that he treated the victims in that book was fantastic. And even at the end, like all of the victims' families and some of the victims themselves spoke at the end of it was their real voices. And it was so powerful because it was like they were taking back their own story. You know, the story was not at the end about the Golden State Killer. It was about them. And it was about their life and their experiences that they had gone through. And the fact that he did that, I thought was just so genius, first of all. But I thought it was so compassionate and kind. And it's like really one of the first works I've ever seen like that. There's other books, I think, where they're very, very considerate of the victim, and they'll even talk about that sometimes, you know. But there's been whole studies done about the de-victimization, you know, it's like, or the dehumanization of victims, you know, in true crime and things like that. It's just sad, you know, but like, how do you talk about it in a way that if you're going to talk about this, not, you know, anyway, I don't know. That was a ramble. That was a scramble ramble. Oh my God. I went to Ruth's Cafe yesterday, and I think I talked about this on here, but I had Grandma's grilled cheese. It's called Grandma's Secret. It was really hot though, and the cheese was like running out of the bread, but I didn't care. It's like Velveeta cheese on challah bread. Well, I get it on challah bread. You can get it on whatever. And then I got a big bowl, and it comes in like a you know, that what's that, Fiesta ware? You know, like that Fiesta, like where it looks like that kind of stuff. The bright colored bowls, and so it comes in like a yellow bowl, you know. And I got tomato basil soup and a lefse, which is like a crepe. Oh, I did talk about this last night. But I sat there, and there was this woman sitting next to me, and she just came in. There's like a lot of people that go there and just sit by themselves. It's real cozy inside. It's really cute. Like all of the, like the knickknacks and stuff like that. Knick-knack, paddywhack. Anyway, all of the little things, like the salt and pepper shakers and the things that hold like the sugar, you know, for like coffee and stuff, all the coffee mugs, everything on the wall, it's all different. It all looks like somebody's kitchen. So it's not like no two tables are the same. And they have themes. Like there's this Grateful Dead table there. So like the whole table is like wrapped in this like not wallpaper, I don't even know what it would be, but it's like this like really hard wrap, like it's like Grateful Dead stickers and stuff. And then the chair has all this Jerry Garcia stuff all over it, and then the salt and pepper shakers are like what do you call it, the bears. And that's like one table, but like the rest of the tables don't really have themes. But for some reason I always end up at that table. I don't know why. When I come in there, I always just like sit wherever you want to sit. But yesterday I sat at a different place, and this woman came in next to me, and she was probably like close to 80, and oh, maybe she wasn't that old, but she came in at the very end, and she sat down next to me, and you could tell she was kind of a regular like me, and she sat down, and she didn't even look at her menu. That's how I knew she was a regular. And the woman was like, "What can I get you?" And she was like, "I want the scramble," and it was like the scramble with like cinnamon toast or something, I don't know. But anyway, I'd never seen the scramble. People get pancakes, and these pancakes are huge there and stuff, you know. So, she didn't say one word. Like, we weren't like, there was like a table of like 4 people in the like corner, and then that was it. Like everybody, oh, there was like a table of like 3, like, oh, they're probably like college age kids, and they were just kind of like hanging out, talking, drinking coffee. And then these 2 women, and then they left though. And the table of 4 left. So it was just like me and this woman, and then these like kids. So when I got up, I like looked over, and this scramble thing looked so good. It looked like an omelet and scrambled eggs and just like, you know, green peppers and onions and tomato. It looked so good, and cheese, and just was like this pile of this stuff. And I said, "Oh my God, that looks so good." She goes, "It's fantastic." I was like, "Oh." Maybe I'll have to get the scramble sometime. But I go there for the grilled cheese. That's what I go there for, right? When I can make a grilled cheese at home, I know, but whatever. I don't. It's rainy, snowy, icy, and cold out tonight. We've had like wet, rainy weather for the last couple days. Like, I feel like this is like our third day. It rained almost all day today. I feel like this is like our third day of rain. So tired of it. I mean, if it's gonna be nasty like this, I would rather have it be all snow. Can you hear that light ticking out there? This place right here, Union Jack's Pizza. Well, it's not Union Jack's, it's a bar, but anyway. That place has been around forever. I used to go and get pizzas there when I lived in my first apartment. So, 30 years ago. True story. This June will be 30 years since I got my first apartment. God, that's so crazy. How many different places have I lived in 30 years? My first apartment, and then my apartment with my roommate and my boyfriend, and then he and I got our own apartment, and then my ex and I got that apartment. Five places in 30 years. It's really not that many, is it? It's like one place every 6 years. Wait a second. Okay, my first apartment. My first apartment. The apartment that the three of us moved into. Do we live in 2 apartments together or 1 apartment together? We lived in 1 apartment together, and then he and I moved into that apartment. And then the apartment that I lived in with my ex. I feel like there's more places than that. I guess this guy decided he didn't want to wait anymore. He did a U-turn. Went the other way. Do you ever just like eat so many nibbles? Like nibbles. Do you ever just eat so much like crap? Like I ate like hummus, and our other friend, she brought like this layered like bean dip that had like beans and sour cream, or bean dip and sour cream and bean dip. You know what I'm talking about, like that 7-layer bean dip, but it was like 3 layers, and it was like sour cream, cheese, tomatoes, whatever, bean, whatever, refried bean stuff. It was good. But I ate all this crap, and then I didn't really ever eat today. And now I wish I had like eaten something, but I didn't, so get over it, I guess. I don't know how I'm going to make videos tomorrow. So Alex and I have this brunch, and then that coat that I got him for Christmas, he wants to take it back and get something else, which I'm totally fine with. I want him to have something that he wants. So we got to take that coat back tomorrow. And then he said that, well, it's also too big. So he said maybe he wants to go see if they have like a smaller size, and if they have a smaller size, he might keep it if there's a smaller size. If not, then he's gonna maybe get something else with it. So I'm like, whatever you want to do, babe, I just want you to be happy with whatever you get, you know, for Christmas. Pick out something that you really want. So we have to do that afterwards, but then I have the live stream at 4 o'clock, and I don't get done with that till like 5. And let's just say if I like literally jumped from one chair to the other to start filming videos, I wouldn't even be done till 7 or 8. So I don't know how I'm gonna do that tomorrow. So I might just film. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. As much as I love doing my live stream, which I do, we always have such a great time in there. I'm always jealous of like Alex on those nights because like I don't get done and then I'll be like, okay, well I want to film a couple more videos, and so I'll sit there and I'll go upstairs and he'll have like completely crashed out and taken a nap. And like he takes naps a lot on Sunday afternoons, so he'll take like a 3-hour nap and then he'll watch like a couple shows and go to bed early. And I'm always like, it would be so nice just to come home after brunch and take a nap. But I love doing the live streams too. I mean, it's only once a month, if even that. This time we're going, it's like later. I'm excited about the one tomorrow because I have lots of things to say about this book, The Good Nurse by Charles Graeber. It was such a bizarre book. He was so bizarre. I don't even really know that I understood the end of the book, to be honest. Like, I told Mel, she was like, well, what did you think? And I said, I had to Google what happened to him because it wasn't even the end of the book, really. And she started laughing. And, I mean, when you read a true crime book and then you have to Google, like, what happened to the person because you have no clue, like, it probably tells you that they maybe, like, didn't necessarily achieve what they meant to achieve. I think I gave that book a 3 stars or 2 stars. I think a 3-star. I think I was generous. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad. Like, I enjoyed reading it. It was like, it kept my interest, but it just was like, see, that was a book that was a good example of like the treatment of the characters, or the treatment of the victims. Like, I feel like the writer was really like considerate of the victims and the victims' families and telling their backstories and like humanizing them, making them people. And what I mean by that is, like, a lot of times when you read, or often when you read true crime books, I'm trying to say often instead of a lot of times, because a lot of times this does not work in a sentence. I'm trying to correct some of my grammar. But anyway, have you noticed me doing that in videos before? It's gonna stop, hold on. Okay. So when you're reading a true crime book and they talk about the character and they say, like, you know, Judy Smith, and Judy Smith was like, they'll say, Judy Smith, 42-year-old female from Sarasota, Florida. And that's like all you know about her, right? That's dehumanizing, okay? But when they talk about Judy Smith and they're like, Judy Smith, and, you know, she was, you know, she had been divorced and she had just met this new guy and they were dating and she was really happy in her life and she had this job that she loved and, you know, she was a paralegal and, you know, she had friends that she worked with, and her closest friend Susie would say that they would go out to lunch and that, you know, Judy loved to get a Greek salad at this one restaurant, and her favorite thing to do in the evening was, you know, to watch Jeopardy and to read murder mystery novels. Okay, you are humanizing the victims at that point, right? Like, that needs to be done in these books, period, okay? It just needs to be done. When you read these books and it's just like Judy Smith, 42, female, Sarasota, Florida, it's like, it's, what was the book that we recently read where I felt like it was like that? It was like they just listed one after the other, after the other, after the other. It was something that we read in the last 6 months. I can't remember, 6 months. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, like, for me, in reading these books, there has to be a humanization of the victims. So that would be a good example. But yeah. So anyway, they really did that. He really did that, though, in The Good Nurse. I mean, he even, at the end, went in when some of the families found out, like, what had happened and stuff, and they spoke to him in court, and you got to find out, like, what they said to him in court and stuff like that. You're like, can we not talk about true crime anymore? Okay, we won't talk about true crime anymore tonight. But what we will do is put on a little lip gloss. I will say this about, you know what's weird? here's the deal. I've always been interested in mysteries. When I was a kid, and I mean like a little kid, okay? My mom would read me the Nate the Great books, and Nate the Great was a detective. He was a kid detective. I loved those books. I loved reading anything that was a mystery. In fact, one of my favorite Christmas books was The Great Christmas Kidnapping Caper. I loved reading mysteries. I became obsessed with Agatha Christie. I read a lot of Agatha Christie books when I was growing up. I hear this book is like, I hear like a lot. I don't know really the specifics about it. So if somebody knows, can you put it in the comment section below? But somebody said that the Agatha Christie book, And Then There Were None, is being criticized now for some reason. I don't know, like, there's obviously some issues with the book. I don't know what it is, like derogatory issues. I'm not really sure. That it's known for another name. That could be why. But that was like the first book of hers that I ever read. And then I started watching all of the movies. The Hercule, I can never pronounce his name, Hercule Poirot movies, like Death on the Nile and Evil Under the Sun, which was so good. They were so good. And I loved him, you know. And then I watched Murder, She Wrote with my mom, with, you know, Angela Lansbury. And Heart to Heart was one of my favorite shows, if you remember that, about the couple that was rich and they would solve mysteries. And Moonlighting, I loved Moonlighting, and Charlie's Angels, and I became obsessed with like all of these mystery shows, and I always wanted to be like a detective like that. Like that had always been my dream, was to be a detective. Like, all honesty, like that's what I wanted to do. And then I wanted to write like mystery books. Like I wanted to write soap operas or mystery books. Like that's what I wanted to write. And that's all I read for a long time, you know? And that's kind of how I got into like the whole James Patterson thing, because like when he came out and I first read Kiss the Girls, and Along Came a Spider, like those books were really, really well written. Like his books didn't become formulaic until later, when they just became kind of like the same book every single time. And I know there's people out there that love his books. I tried to do the book, I really struggled. But anyway, now they're just very formulaic. But back then, like when he first started, it's like very similar to David Baldacci. I think Dean Koontz has kind of stayed true to his roots, but they were very, very good when they first started. And I'm trying to think of like who would be like the first. Like, I was never real interested in like Jack the Ripper kind of stuff or serial killers or that kind of stuff, but I was always kind of interested, like I would say like late high school, in watching shows about like that kind of stuff. I think it was like real life scary stuff scared me more than fictional scary stuff, if that makes sense. Like, I would be more scared watching, you know, like a 48 Hours or something than I would be watching like a horror movie, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I think that also started my fascination a little bit with that. And then, I don't know when it was, I think it would have been in my 20s, my late 20s. It had to have been in my late 20s or early 30s, but I would say my late 20s, the Paradise Lost documentaries, followed by the Eileen Wuornos documentaries. And the Paradise Lost documentaries, there's 3 of them, is about the West Memphis 3. I wonder where they are today, but it was about the West Memphis 3. And then I became real obsessed with that case for a while, and then in the Innocence Project and stuff. And then I watched the Eileen Wuornos documentaries, and I watched those over and over and over again, and I became super obsessed with those. And that was kind of how I started like looking into and all this kind. And you have to remember too, like for years, like this was before like Google was a big thing or the internet, you know. So it was like I mean, not then, but like before that. So it wasn't like you could get on your computer and you could just Google and read 1,000 forums and articles, you know, hundreds of thousands of forums and articles about these people. That didn't exist, you know? So if there wasn't a book, you weren't going to find out about these people. And then, you know, the Herb Baumeister thing happened, and that was like a really big deal too, I think, in my interest in all of it, because, oh, well, I'll tell you, one of the things was John Benet Ramsey. So John Benet Ramsey thing, I don't know what that was about, but when that happened, I became super, super intrigued with that story. Like, I literally would watch every interview, every coverage of it, everything that happened. I was at the grocery store and there was an article about it, which back then there was tons of coverage about the John Benet Ramsey case constantly. Now listen, I only have this battery. My other battery's at home charging. So if the battery starts dying, I'm gonna have to get off here, but I'm not gonna talk for a whole lot longer anyway. So anyway, but I think I'm close to an hour, and that's usually when it kind of like starts to die. But at the time that the John Benet Ramsey case happened, I know if you guys were alive during then or around, you'll know what I'm talking about. It literally was like everywhere. Like, it was everything that everybody was talking about for like the first year probably. And so, like, I would get every magazine, Newsweek, you know, Us Magazine, you know, the National Enquirer, everything, every one of those crap magazines I would get and read all the articles, and they speculated it was this, it was that, it was this, it was that, it was this. You know, I would watch all the TV shows about it, blah, 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 whatever. So that was that. And then when the Herb Baumeister case happened in Indianapolis, I don't remember the case happening in Indianapolis. Like, I remember people talking about it a little bit when I would go out. People saying, like, you know, oh, there's a gay serial killer and whatever, and I don't think we really believed it. Just so weird to me in retrospect. But I don't think that we believed it. I don't know. I don't really remember it that seriously. But, like, he stopped in 96. I got sober in 94 in December. So he was killing men in gay bars, and I didn't. So I probably wouldn't have gone out again maybe until like the very end of when he was killing, if at all, because I wasn't going out at all like that first year. So, but I remember my roommate and I, she and I were sitting there. We used to watch investigative reports with Bill Curtis, and we were sitting there and we were watching it one night, and it was about the Herb Baumeister case. And like, it had just happened like 6 months before, and they were showing this bar here in town called, it's now called Greg's, but back then it was called Our Place. We called it OP's because it was like, you know, Our P Place, OP's. OP's. And they showed it like the outside, they showed the sign, and then they showed these like lights on like the dance floor, and that was like how they showed it. And I remember it was just like a chill down my back. Like, we were so just weirded out by that whole story. And now I've done like 3 videos talking about like I may have met a serial killer, and then what happened with Tanya and I when we were at the meeting, and the guy was like, we went there, don't you remember? So I've had all, you know, and then we did the paranormal investigation. Melissa and Aaron and I, we went there and stuff like that. But that story still creeps the hell out of me. I'm actually not too far from the house right now. I'm probably, I'm far, but not too far, like 15 minutes that way. Like, I've been in there, I stayed there till 2 o'clock in the morning. I was in the house, I was in the woods at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I still, being this far away, get chills even thinking about it. It still creeps me out. So I think like all of that together with my interest in like mysteries and stuff like that, I don't know, I still love mysteries, you know, I still love reading mysteries. And so I think that all of that together kind of made my interest, it piqued my interest in true crime. Because it's like, okay, you read a mystery, but what if you read a mystery that was true, you know? Like, that even makes it a little bit more interesting. So maybe it's not that you're super interested in this horrible crime, or super interested, or have a favorite serial killer. Maybe it's the fact that this mystery or this, you know, thing that happened, it was real, which just made it even scarier, you know? And I think that's really what it is to some degree, is that it makes it scarier thinking that it's this real thing, you know what I mean? Like, isn't that scary? I mean, it is kind of scary to think about it that way. So I think that's really what it was, you know, is that it's like, I don't know. of surprised Tanya read this book that I just read. Like, she picked it up on her own, and she told me, she's like, have you heard of this book? And I was like, yeah, we're reading it next month. She was like, oh my God, I'm like halfway through. That was like when she brought it up. She's like, I have to keep on putting it down because it's so hard to read. And I was like, what's so hard to read about it? And she's like, well, I don't want to ruin it for you. You'll know when you read it. She did ruin it for me about 4 times. I told her that too last night. She goes, well, it says on the cover. She said, I don't want to say this because I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but she said something on the cover, and I said, oh my God, she just ruined it for me again. She goes, it says it on the cover. I said, Tanya Jean, I didn't read the cover of the book. I said, I didn't read the cover. I just look at the title. Hell, I can't even remember what the title is of the book half the time. She started laughing. She goes, well, if you read the book, I said, if I read the book, it would have been ruined for me, and it wasn't. So don't read the cover if you don't want to know some secrets about the book. That's all I'll say. But anyway, I was like, God, you're ruining it for me, Tanya. She didn't care. But I was kind of surprised she read it. She reads anything that's like brand new that just came out. I think I got like 2 new books yesterday. Somebody was asking me if I had read the 2nd and the 3rd book in that Nora Roberts, I can't remember what it was, book 1 was called, I can't remember. But you know what's so interesting is, so I gave that Nora Roberts book a try because it was new for her. It was like fantasy writing, and I thought, I'm not a big Nora Roberts fan, but let's give it a try, let's see what we think. And I loved it. I loved that book, right? Well, now it's been so long that I won't remember what happened in the first book. It's like Lee Bardugo's, you know, 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I mean, it's been so long, I don't even care if I read those books now. I mean, I want to read them, but it's like I don't even know what happened. It's snowing again. Somebody in Illinois put in my vlog tonight that snow and ice is coming our way. I didn't even know we were supposed to be having any. So, you know, like, I don't know. Maybe I need to spend 2020 finishing up all the series that I started and never finished. That's probably one of the things I need to do this year. It's just hard to get, like, into it when it's like there's so many other great things to, you know, read. I think that is going to be one of my goals this year, is to finish up the series that I haven't read, so. Anyway, listen, speaking of which, I'm going to go listen to my audiobook now. So I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, do not have other plans. Make the most of your day. Do something fun today. For me, take a nap, relax, spend some time just getting comfortable on your pillow and on your blankets and staying warm and cozy. And, yeah, just spend today relaxing. You don't even have to do something that will make yourself proud 10 years from now or whatever. Just relax. Sometimes it's just, let's just hear the silence for a second. Years ago in NPR, I saw this, I heard this article. Can't remember what that show is called. It was like 10 minutes on Sundays. Shoot, what was that show called? Well, I've talked about it on here before because it had the guy that played the piano, but this is a different interview. The guy with the piano was this guy that, like, he had this piano on a rollerboards, and he had it in a truck, and he took it, like, from New York to, like, anyway. So they interviewed him when he was, like, in South America, because he had taken this piano and played on the streets of every major city, like, across the world, and he was, like, traveling, and he wanted to go to, like, Europe, but he had made it from, like, New York all the way to South America. But anyway, on his piano, like, in the background, they were playing the song Imagination from... That was kind of tone deaf for a second, wasn't it? But you get the idea. But he had from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and he had a sign on his piano that she read, and it said, "You owe it to yourself to do something valuable with your life." And, or you owe it to yourself to do something important with your life, or something like that. And, do you know what I'm talking about? They were like these 10-minute things on National Public Radio, and I loved them when they would do it. Storytellers.org is what it was. But there was another one, and I think storytellers.org still exists, I'll have to look. But there was another one, and it was this guy, and he was a scientist, and I don't know why I found this so incredibly cool. But he was doing this, like, he had gotten a grant to, he was investigating silence in the world, and he was trying to find the longest space of silence that existed, and he was going into like these deep recesses in the forests to try to find like in the redwood forest, and he was like trying to find like places of absolute silence where you couldn't hear anything, not a leaf, not your own breath, not anything, like a twig, snow falling, any raindrops, you couldn't, it was just absolute silence. Like he was measuring absolute silence. And I remember it was kind of like such a like cool thing to me. It was like just the idea of like what we think silence is and what silence truly is, you know? So anyway, let's practice some silence and just being present today on Sunday. So just relax, enjoy your day, have a great day. And if nobody else told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you say, I love you, because you are cool. And you're a nice person. And you're cute sometimes. And you deserve good things. We all do. Gotta switch it up, right? And this is gonna be a great year for you, and this is gonna be a great week coming ahead. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how important they are to you. Just call them up and say, you know what? I'm so glad that you're my friend. I love you. You helped me get through the tough times. I appreciate it. And just anybody random. And even your neighbor. We don't say it to our neighbors enough, do we? And yeah. Is that it? I think that's it. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!